time for us to do the market update with Bill Noble. Bill, take it away.
All right. So as I bring up my screen, let me just say one thing on behalf of everyone in crypto. Can you believe this price action? I had the most unbelievable inflection point at the lows. I had an important client ask me, should I go to stable coins? And I felt like this was like the weight of the world on my shoulders because it looked like it was going to go to zero. And I told him to hold off. And after this thing rebounded, I was like, wow, you know, what a moment for me. What a moment for this guy. I will use. If you felt fear this week, if you felt confused, trust me, at company. Now, let's talk about what happened this week and why it means the correction is most likely over. All right, so the title of this presentation, as you can see, is really unusual. It's Michael Saylor and the new ETH use case. Okay, so let's start with this guy. Now, Mr. Saylor is single-handedly draining huge amounts of Bitcoin out of the market. And when he does that, whatever market maker is actually giving the Bitcoin to Mr. Saylor, those market makers have to go into the marketplace and somehow get that Bitcoin back, right? Now, I worked on one of these desks in foreign exchange and in bonds 25 years ago. And I remember when we would get these huge orders or when somebody would ask us to sell them huge amounts of bonds or currency, and we would just all look at each other like, you know, like, oh my God, how is this going to happen? How are we going to do this? Well, here's the answer in the crypto space. Michael Saylor, this tweet shows that his average price was about 31,000. And when you have that in hand, post-correction, to me, market makers have to come in and slam everything. They've got to use futures, and they just short the entire market and try to break it. They try and get retail to sell and panic at the bottom so they can get back some or all of the crypto that's Saylor. And then, as quickly as they can, they got to buy all the shorts back in. Okay? So that's why you get this 25% down and 25% back up. Now, I know this is old news for crypto that they would have these crashes, but this is a classic case in a bull market where instead of a one-day flash crash, you know, Bitcoin sort of deteriorated over a multi-day period, which caused people to really get afraid. And I'm not embarrassed to say it, that included me. So this price action didn't make sense to me until I saw this thing about Saylor, right? Somebody gives Bitcoin to him, and then they have to crush the market in order to get the crypto back in. Now, here we have the Bitcoin chart, and Mr. Saylor is leaving his footprint everywhere, right? Back in December, you can see sort of in the middle of the screen that Bitcoin probed 20K twice, okay? And after it probed it, it corrected, right? It kept trying to break 20K. And the second time it tried to break it and then corrected, a slow rally started after that eventually accelerated. And that's how you got the move from 20K to 40K. Now, currently, the market has seen, or the Bitcoin chart shows, the exact same pattern repeating at 40K. There were two attempts to take it out. That's up here in the top right where it says probes. Then there were two dips, right, to 30K. That's where Mr. Saylor was waiting. All right. And looking at this Bitcoin chart, if history repeats itself, you're going to have much, much higher prices, right? You could have Bitcoin 50K. You could have Bitcoin 100K. Now, you might be shocked or not shocked to know that with Bitcoin dominance crashing the way it is, that the next big mega move is in our perennial favorite, Ethereum. So let's once again talk about why you should like Ethereum, because it's funny. On one hand, everyone talks about Bitcoin. And on the other hand, there seems to be a huge amount of FOMO about Polkadot. Now, I like Polkadot. Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be one of the keys to a crypto-based banking or lending system and derivative system for that matter. But the thing is, folks, when all of the Bitcoin gets drained out of the system, eventually this game where they have to crash the whole market to try to pull crypto back in, they're not going to do that anymore. They're just going to buy ETH, right? They're going to sell the Bitcoin to whoever wants it, and then they're going to buy ETH. Now, our newsletter customers got the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart. So Ethereum has a huge amount of room to outperform Bitcoin over the next 6 months. This is the Ethereum chart, Sunday, January 24th. And the bottom line is this: if ETH is above 1,200, it can go to 2,400. And it can just go. It doesn't have to pause, or there doesn't have to be anything to happen other than the fact that ETH is just so undervalued. And if everyone's going to drain all the Bitcoin out of the system, then Ethereum's market cap has to go up, because it's the best next logical alternative. Here's another case for ETH, right? And this also goes back to Mr. Saylor. Mr. Saylor is draining all the Bitcoin out of the system, or trying to. Meanwhile, on Coinbase, there are 42 million accounts opened, but there's only 21 million Bitcoin. So what happens if all 42 million people go to try to buy Bitcoin? Well, it's not going to work. And if you do have Bitcoin on an exchange, you better get it into a hard wallet to make sure you have it. Not your keys, not your crypto is not a joke anymore. And it isn't even a security slogan. It's like, I have to make sure I have it, almost like what goes on in gold. You've got to actually have it on a cold wallet. But if that's what's happening in Bitcoin, the catch-up rally in ETH could be breathtaking. Now, this thing about pulling ETH or crypto out of the system and putting it in cold storage is not just going on in Bitcoin. Matter of fact, this tweet this morning shows that something like 600,000 ETH is being drained out of the system for either cold storage or staking. So ETH, in a way, is not only turning into a currency, not only turning into a tech stock, but it's becoming the thing that everyone who has said, okay, I've either missed a Bitcoin trade or I can't get enough Bitcoin, all right, it becomes this thing where everyone is going to be looking to FOMO into, right? Bitcoin has effectively created the Ethereum monster. We just haven't seen that monster in full effect yet. Now, our customers in our newsletter got a list of alts that are correlated to Ethereum. Now, what does that mean again? That means as ETH goes, these alts will go, all right? And since our customers are pretty familiar with a lot of these alts, we're going to go through them on the live stream for you, all right? The first is synthetics. Now, we started talking about synthetics when our AI picked it up around 6. Okay, I started charting it. It said the target was 16. That happened. Synthetics came off. And as you can see on your screen today, synthetics is just on a rampage to the upside. Inside the Ethereum universe, one of our analysts has identified the possibility for a creation of a derivatives-based trading world, much like what is prevalent with institutional banks and futures exchanges today. That is all going to get disrupted and moved into a blockchain crypto system with synthetics as the lead. So on January 24th, 5 p.m., the price target for synthetics, the conservative one is 20. And if these fib extension numbers work the way they have in other markets, synthetics could go to 30. Okay, that may sound like hyperbole, but it was probably hyperbole to say that synthetics could go from 6 to 16, because I think you can have synthetics between 20 and 30 if ETH is at 2,000 or higher. Okay, this is the FTX token. Okay, this is actually one of the most correlated things to ETH. It's actually kind of hanging out right now, so we're catching it on a breather. I know it's gone up a lot. You know, it's done like almost a 4x. Currently, it's trading around 10. Okay, so January 24th, Sunday, this to me looks like, you know, the FTX token, FTT, can move either to 13 or 20. Okay, because again, as ETH moves, these tokens move. All right, reserve rights. All right, something we've talked about on the show, something that we've talked about in our premium chat room. The Elliott wave on reserve looks like something big can happen, something really big. And again, if these fib extension lines are accurate or useful, or as useful as they have been in other markets like Bitcoin, okay, reserve is either going to wind up at 0.06 or 0.08, right? Currently, it's trading and hanging out at 0.04. And I don't see any reason, if ETH is mooning, that this couldn't just take off, because this is in the group that should be moving as ETH moves. Now, Injective Protocol. This is something else that, you know, our quant AI readings have picked up on. Now, recently, INJ kind of came down to 7 and hit the 38% retracement of its big up move. Now, if this acts like everything else that's correlated to ETH acts, you could see INJ at 13 or 20. Now, this isn't like tomorrow, because I know we want to open the account on Monday and drive the Lambo on a date on Saturday. You've already heard that joke on the show, so I won't go through it again. But I do think, you know, Sunday, January 24th for Injective Protocol, your price target is either 13 or 20. Now, Elrond, here I'm looking at the futures contract. And Elrond actually looks like synthetics looks like back in December. And with this, Elrond is sort of making this consolidation formation. And I think once it breaks out, there's a huge amount of upside here as well. Now, our hidden gem that, again, one of our new analysts who's got very much specific knowledge of not just crypto trading, but of like how to find what's new, what's hot in the blockchain world. We're essentially wrapping this idea of a new derivatives, futures universe that can disrupt everything from traditional exchanges to big banks, is actually starting to grow like green shoots coming out of the ground, okay, in the crypto world. And one of the things that we're looking at is perp versus wrapped ETH. Now, even with ETH trading the way it is, that's the tricky thing with a lot of these Uniswap coins. But I mean, the analyst identified perp like when this was at the bottom, and this just keeps going. And I think this is like your 10x or 100x coin. So when anyone asks, particularly with synthetics and ETH moving like this, these type of coins can have enormous moves, because the entire crypto universe for derivatives, for trading, right? So think about Wall Street, right? What does Wall Street do? Well, the first thing Wall Street did was lend money. And the second thing Wall Street did was create derivatives and different ways to trade and hedge. Well, the crypto world is doing that, except this derivatives theme, all right, is bigger than just synthetics, right? It could be the Ethereum universe. It could be synthetics and a whole host of tokens that could even be in the Polkadot world. But as Ethereum becomes the new Bitcoin, these investment themes within the Ethereum universe are going to be essential, because if you understand them, you'll be able to make money in crypto. Now, on a lighter note, let's go back to this idea of Bitcoin is going away, literally. It's getting drained out of the system. And what are trades that can be done to benefit from that? Well, friends, like it or not, the Bitcoin substitutes, Bitcoin is like, regular beer, and then there's light beer, and then there's low calorie ultra, right? Here we have Litecoin, and that's sort of like the low calorie ultra of the Bitcoin universe. Now, on the show, I was a fan of Litecoin in the 60s, and it went to 170 or 180, and then I just kind of left it alone, and I just, I was like, okay, that's enough. However, I've noticed that Litecoin has dipped and is holding at the 38% retracement of its recent up move. And I'm like, that's interesting, particularly in light of the Saylor tweet that we started with. In other words, if you want to buy Bitcoin, you may not be able to buy Bitcoin. You may have to buy Litecoin, not just want to buy Litecoin. So I'm thinking that 125 to 140 is like a buy zone for this thing. I think if it's above 150, it's going to 275, right? Because, if Bitcoin's going bye-bye, then the Bitcoin substitutes, if you will, the light beer has to become popular, right? Now, Band Protocol, all right? Another altcoin that actually has a lot of upside potential in my mind, right? So now what I'm trying to do is, now that ETH's moving, now that DeFi is moving, looking for things that haven't mooned yet. Now in Band, I'm looking at a 2-day chart, Sunday, January 24th. Now there are people selling rallies in this. That's clear on the chart. But it's also clear that the sellers of Band haven't broken it yet, right? In other words, they sell, but it doesn't go down. So that means there's someone down below taking Band from the sellers. And Band is also holding support around 7, which is an important 62% fib line, which we have learned from other smart people in crypto, probably is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, technical indicator in crypto. So Band, in my mind, can hit 20, right? It's currently trading at 9, and it could go as high as 32 if DeFi really goes crazy. So if you're looking for some kind of underappreciated coin that you think might go up a lot, Band has a chart that seems interesting to me. Okay, herein is also one of those charts, right? It's amazing. This was like the hottest thing ever, and it's been given up for dead. Now, I see an Elliott wave count here that indicates that if a herein up move starts, especially since everyone sort of sold the recent rallies, that there isn't going to be any sellers to stop this thing if it gets going, right? So if this does what Bitcoin did, you could be talking about 85K, right? And it's just sitting here at 30K. It's not doing anything. It's like everyone's ignoring it. And I think that's a mistake, because I think this is one of the things that could go up, because I think these DeFi moves, as everything follows Ethereum, the altcoins are going to follow in stages, right? Bitcoin may have a big up day, and then you'll get a dip to buy all this stuff. But with ETH as the new leader, you're going to get groups of altcoins moving together. Like, for example, today, Sunday the 24th, you had Synthetics and Aave. And tomorrow it could be Band and herein. Okay, now that was Litecoin. Let's go to the other one, the other Bitcoin substitute that everyone, loves to hate, or I'm going to flip it around. You hate to love it, but you need to start loving Bitcoin Cash, right? Bitcoin Cash is a peer-to-peer payment system, okay, built on Bitcoin, right? They have decent technology here. And again, if Bitcoin is leaving the building, Bitcoin Cash is sitting right on top of a 62% retracement line at 406. The all-time high in Bitcoin Cash is something like 1,500. So I don't see any reason why you're not going to just sort of wake up one day and Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, and Ethereum are just going to take turns going up in 20% increments until they've 1x or 2x. So the original question for the show is the correction over? Yes, the correction is over, mainly because it was so severe, it even scared me. So that probably meant most likely it scared everybody because I was looking for the correction that scared everybody. So if everyone got scared, including me, it's probably over. Now the challenge is, what do I do when things are up 20%? How do I get involved? So we'll be covering that with our customers all week, and we would encourage you to stay with Token Metrics. So that is the market update for this week. Back to you, Ian.
All right. Thank you, Bill. That was great. If you enjoyed that market update, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and share this video with your crypto family.
Token Metrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com.